All right, guys. Hi. So good. So I brought some notes because there's a lot to cover. Who's overwhelmed by social media? Raise your hand if you're slightly overwhelmed by the prospect of trying to get it all done. It's a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot of social networks. I mean, there's literally hundreds of social networks where you could be posting your content. The good news is you don't need to post your content on hundreds of social networks. I'm going to give you exactly like a little strategy that you can follow today that you can maybe find the weak points in your strategy, what you're currently doing, and I'm going to give you some, you can find those weak points based on what I go over, and then you can fix up what you got going. And then I'm going to give you a content strategy that you can get done every week for your social media that is not hard to do. It might take an hour, honestly. And then preferably if you got somebody with a couple skills, editing wise and stuff, even less time, because you just give it to them. That'd be beautiful, right? So good, so here we go. I'm gonna give you 4 pillars. I'd start wearing reading glasses. But I'm gonna give you 4 pillars to any marketing strategy. So we have 4 things that you definitely need to have in place on your marketing strategy. So one is, you've gotta have email, right? You have to have email marketing. Emails that go out once or twice a week. You must have an email program where you're sending out to your list. Don't buy a list though and spam people that you don't know. That's bad. Don't do that. It's got to be a list of people that have inquired or are your customers. You don't want to just start sending emails out to people you don't know. It's actually, if you just randomly start emailing people that you don't even know, it's actually not, you're not actually following the law as well. It's called spamming. But also it doesn't really work and people know what it is. You want people who are going to recognize you and know who you are. So you want to email, but to people that actually know you. That's one part of your marketing strategy, and I want to mention it first right off the bat because I'm not going to talk about it anymore, but it's something you can't leave out. Now, where do those names come from? They actually come from having a website that captures identities, from what's called a conversion strategy. So when somebody comes to your website, there's got to be a way set up for you to actually turn the visitors into leads. You've got to have something that you give them of some value that they end up exchanging their first name and their email address minimally with you, right? And really the more stuff you ask for, the fewer people are actually going to give you their information. I think you lose like 5% when you ask for a phone number, and for every line of information you ask for, you lose another like 5%. So start off with I go over conversion strategies pretty extensively with people, and we could talk about that for another 20-30 minutes, but I'm not going to. If you want to talk to me about your conversion strategy, I'm going to give you an opportunity to do that. I'd love to talk to you about how to turn those website visitors into people that, as a warm list that you can then email to, okay? The next thing that you're gonna have, and I'm gonna go over this one in a lot more detail, is a content strategy. Now, what's content? It's a kind of an interesting word. By the way, the word social media, we're kind of into the land of social media at this point. The word social media, the root of the word social means friend, right? And medium means the middle. It's what is between 2 ends of a communication line. Like the medium is a trade magazine, or TV, or Facebook, or radio. That's media, right? That's what that is. And it comes from the word that means middle. And then social means friend, right? Now let me ask you this. Do you constantly advertise to your friends about something when you talk to them? Are you sitting down giving them an advertisement or a spiel every time you sit down? Probably not. Probably it's like some good information, some friendly interaction. That's what content's all about. And I'm actually going to tell you a bit more about that and a bit more about a good content strategy that you can very easily follow. I'm going to go over that in some detail. Good. And then the last thing, what was the last thing? Oh yeah, I remember. Thanks for reminding me. Appreciate that. So the last thing was ads, Facebook ads, and other ads on other pay-per-click mediums, right? Where you pay for the click or you pay for the number of times it's put in front of people. Now, the ads work so much better and you can probably see that for yourself, they work so much better if all those other pieces are in place, right? Somebody sees your ad, they click on it, they go to a particular piece of content, they look at that content that you've created, which content, by the way, the definition of that is the things that fill up something, right? The words, the pictures, right? All those things that fill up something, that's content. So they click on an ad, they go to your content, they go to your website, right? If you're smart, you have a good conversion strategy. And then once you've converted them into a warmer lead, you then send emails to them that further warms them up and turns them into a customer or a client. So all four of those pieces work together. And ads I mentioned last because that's what's going to drive the traffic in, right? That's the sizzle, so that you can give people the steak. Who's heard that phrase before, right? You sell the sizzle and not the steak, right? Everybody hears the sizzle going around. They're like, that's awesome, right? I want that. So the ad's kind of like, there's another good phrase by a couple guys named Reese and Trout. They wrote a book called The Positioning Era. They wrote a couple awesome books on marketing, a few, right? And they say that PR, public relations, starts the fire, and advertising fans the flame and keeps it going. So you've got to have that content, you've got to have good information, you've got to have those emails that are good, you've got to have that conversion strategy, and then your advertising, its job is to fan the flame on the stuff that is your good stuff that you're giving to people. So good. So what does good content consist of? I'm going to give you what good content consists of, regardless of where you're putting it, and then I'm going to give you a strategy on how to distribute it. Okay? Okay, good. So here we go. So step one of a good content strategy is give away your knowledge. So that is what you have to do. You have to add value to people's lives, and you have to give away your knowledge. Now, it's interesting because, like, well, what do I know? Well, you know probably quite a bit. I mean, you know stuff that other people just don't know. You do, honestly. I know you do, right? And then maybe you're going to run out of that at some point. Here's a tip for you. Read a book on your subject or on something you want to educate others on. Like I was listening to a book on Audible on the way over here. I mean, I drove here from Clearwater, and I was listening to a book on social media. And I'm listening to it. I was not reading it. That would have been rough if I was reading it while I was driving here. But I was listening to this in the car, and this is called The Thank You Economy by Gary Vaynerchuk. And it's an amazing book on social media strategies and how to basically have an incredible social media presence and why you must do social media, right? So I highly recommend this book. I was thinking, you know what, I should buy 50 of these books and bring them to my talks so I could just sell them, right? Yeah. But it's called The Thank You Economy by Gary Vaynerchuk, or Gary V for short, is what he's known on the internet. And but I highly recommend that book. And it gives me more information that I could talk about. Because marketing is not just what I do for a living. It ends up being my hobby in life too. I help nonprofits with marketing. I help my mother-in-law with her marketing. I help my sister with her marketing. I give my daughter marketing advice. It's also my hobby. It's what I do with, so I enjoy reading books on marketing. So I listen and to read all sorts of books on marketing, and I have tons of knowledge that I can give away. And that's rule number one on social media is, with regards to your content, give away your knowledge. Number two, be authentic, transparent, or genuine. So be yourself, in other words, right? This is me. I don't have another voice that I put on for public speaking. I don't have a Fred Astaire persona, I don't do tap dancing anyway. But I don't have some sort of other beingness or identity as an individual, and you shouldn't have one on social media. You should be who you are. My grammar is what it is. I don't study grammar so I can speak perfectly and all that. That's just not who I am. I have the type of speaking that I do. So be authentic, transparent, and genuine. Okay, step number three on putting out good content. And this is what you got to do this day and age. Have good manners. Respect other people's beliefs. You don't have to agree with their beliefs, right? That's a different thing, right? You may not, in fact, who's ever disagreed with someone? Please raise your hand if you ever in your life disagreed with anyone. I see people who haven't raised their hands yet. 30. Good. So if you, now you don't have, just respect people's opinions. You can have a different opinion, you can even tell them about it, but it doesn't mean disrespect them. So you got to respect other people and have good manners. Number 4, engage, interact with people. You have to engage and interact with people. You can't just sit there on the sidelines reading content. And believe it or not, a like is insufficient, right? Just going around clicking like on stuff doesn't work. It's not good enough. It doesn't get you noticed. Nobody knows who you are. They don't really care much about what you have to, about your like. I mean, it's nice to have some likes, Those are nice. You should probably like it too. But, but then say something about it. Make a comment, Engage with people, basically. In fact, there's a strategy on that you can employ on Instagram called the Buck 80 strategy by Gary Vaynerchuk, right? It basically says take 90 times a day, give your 2 cents, right? That adds up to $1.80, right? But 90 cents a day, 90 times a day, give your 2 cents. Now that's a lot of work, but he says do it, right? That's what he says to do. If you want to find a, if you want to find a job, if you want to get your art out there, get it known, how much public relations and interaction do you need to do with the public to go from unknown to known in your community? So you can go on Instagram, you can find everybody in Tarpon Springs who's posting on Instagram, right? Great. There's a finite number of people, right? Good. So I'm going to find 90 pictures that I want to say something about. And then I'm going to comment on those things. Now I'm going to hire somebody to do that for me, just so you know. Somebody with good communication skills. But I do interact a lot. I probably post a good 15 comments on the average every day on Facebook. Yeah, I'm mainly on Facebook. I interact a lot on Facebook. But I'm just posting comments about what people have to say. And they like what I have to say and whatever, It's just engagement. So engagement is really important. The next point is keep your promises. So if you make a promise, keep it. It's pretty simple. I'm sure you don't have to belabor that one. Add value to people's lives. Add value to people's lives with the content that you distribute. It can't just, which brings me to the next one, it can't just always be about advertising. It can't just be pushing out your message. Even if you're in public relations people tend to push a certain message that they're trying to get the public to agree with, right? You have to push out value, push out content that people are going to reach back to you because of. They're going to go subscribe to your YouTube channel. They're going to sign up for your newsletter. They're going to like your Facebook page, right? Because you've pushed out and added value to their lives. Good. The next thing you really want to do, now this actually has nothing to do with social media, but this is a really good strategy. Like you could do this at a restaurant. I'm going to recommend this while the waiter's in the room actually, and who knows, they might do it for us, right? And you can blame me if they help us out this way. But one of the things you can do is you can shock and awe your customers. Like I was thinking about this on the way over because Gary was talking about in his book, and he said shock and awe and show appreciation. I said, okay, well how could I do that at a restaurant? The example he gave was send a flower, a rose, and a thank you note. This is not for a restaurant. Send a rose and a thank you note to your 20 best customers with a handwritten thank you note. It shows appreciation, and people love that you've done it. In fact, you can probably sell everybody those roses, right?
I do.
Yeah, good. They could buy 20 roses from you to distribute in such a fashion, so right over there. You sign up, right? Yeah, you're welcome. So, yeah, but that's really cool. So that's a shock and awe. You get a handwritten note and a rose, right? from these people because, wow, why? They really appreciate me. And you do that to your 20 best clients. Now, here's what a restaurant could do. A restaurant, right, could bring one of their desserts to the table with forks, enough forks for everybody in the area, right? So no double dipping and stuff with your fork, right? Just take one bite. But there's enough forks for everybody, and you get to test the dessert because you brought one to us. Right? And hopefully you heard me. So that would shock and awe, and that would show appreciation, and that's something you could do. But that is not done enough in business today. So those are your content strategies, right? So that's content for you. Good. So now you guys are gonna get a chance to ask questions, by the way, which is my favorite part. But I want to give you really quickly a content strategy that you can do every single day. So here's how it goes. Content strategy, and I can send you this too, by the way. I'm going to put this out as an email this week. So if I get your email address, I'll make sure you get a copy of it. Good. So one, make a 10-minute video for posting on YouTube. That's your step one. About whatever subject, where you do all those things I mentioned, add value and such, and share your knowledge. But make a 10-minute video. Two, transcribe the video so you can create an article for your blog using that transcription. There's actually a service called rev.com, which is for $1 a minute, they'll transcribe your video for you. So you don't have to actually pay for it, so you don't have to spend time doing that. Next, extract the audio. Now this is a little high tech, a little bit higher tech, but you can actually extract the audio and you could take that and you could make a podcast out of it. Like I'm currently producing a podcast right now. I'm doing 10-minute interviews with people about marketing strategy. And it's actually, we're targeting specifically nonprofits to help them with marketing strategies. Because I do a lot with nonprofits. I like helping nonprofits. So, so that'll be extracted and it'll be a podcast. It'll be called Social Betterment Marketing, just so you know. So in case you're a nonprofit, you want to learn about what's said on that show. Then you take that and you can extract from that smaller pieces of content so that you've got enough content to distribute 3 to 5 pieces of content on the social media channels that you've chosen to distribute content on every day. So yes, I'm at 3 to 5 pieces of content on Facebook every day, 3 to 5 on Instagram, etc. Right? More on Twitter, right? Because it takes more. But that's, then the last thing is use influencers. Like this gentleman with the plumbing business, right? What's your name again? Jeff. Jeff has a son. His son has over 180,000 people. 130,000 some people that follow his son related to the racing industry, right? His son influences people. He influences them because he tells them about things and they hear about it. Now, people in the racing industry now want to use his son to get their message out because he is an influencer in that industry. So you can actually find influencers, I can find them for you too, legitimate influencers, not fake ones, right? Because those exist too, people are pretending to be something. Find those people and I can show you how to utilize them too, but that's a whole nother talk. Okay, good. So that's your content strategy. So again, drive people to your website with ads, have great content, have a great conversion strategy, use email marketing to further that relationship. It's about as simple as that, and it all works together, honestly. So I'll follow this up with an email out to you guys, but that's where you need to start. And I definitely can help you. It's what I do. I actually do social media strategies, and I help people to implement those for their activities. I love doing it. I have some guys that I'm basically their marketing department. Me and I employ a bunch of guys who help me implement strategies, and that's what I do for them. And I also do training. I train people. I can help you put somebody on the job who can do it within your organization. I do that for people as well. So, good. So now I got a survey that I want you to fill out while I'm asking a few questions. And if I could get my faithful assistant, Good. Here she is. I guess this is her. Great. She's great. She's overpaid. Or underpaid. Okay. Good. So she's gonna pass it around, right? So good. So I'm gonna ask a few questions or answer a few questions while she's passing that around. If you would take the time to fill that out, because I really want your feedback about this talk. I really want to know what you have to say, and also I'll get you what I talked about today. We're actually taking a video of it, but I'll also send you a little write-up of what we talked about today to go over. So good. Yes, sir. Yes.
Can you enlighten me or explain a little bit about hashtags?
Okay, good. He wants to get enlightened, or he wants to know what a hashtag is, right? Hashtag looks sort of like this, right? Sort of like this, right? It's actually, it comes from, wow, can you believe I actually know the history of this word? It actually comes from military designations where a guy had hashes on his uniforms. So it's kind of interesting because it was a designation thing. It basically told who he was. So it's evolved over the years. It's had all sorts of different words associated with it. But the internet guys are kind of funny because they steal words like that and they say, oh, we're going to use that for our industry. And so a hashtag is basically an indexing tool. Now what the heck does that mean? It means that if I click on a hashtag for braided hair, right? Because Julie added a hashtag braided hair to her post, and I click on that hashtag, it's going to pull up all the other posts within that area that have the hashtag braided hair. So I can use it as a tool to find all the pictures associated with braided hair. I can also search for braided hair, the hashtag braided hair, and that'll come up. And there's ways you use that as a marketing tool to find people that have particular interests so you can show them your content. Heavily used on Instagram, and also, well, it's used on all other social media platforms too, but heavily used on Instagram. Does that help? Great. Okay, good. Wikipedia has a great article on it, by the way, on hashtags. Good. Next question. Okay, I'm required to take at least 5 questions before I'm allowed to leave. So if somebody raise their hand. Yes, sir.
Are we big on the reviews of Yelp and stuff like that? I mean,
Yeah.
how legitimate are those reviews?
Oh my goodness, how legitimate are those reviews? Well, okay, good. That's a lot of questions. That's like counts for 4 of my questions right there. So we're letting you guys off the hook here. So good. So do I believe in reviews? Yes. Right? When you go to Amazon to buy something, don't you look at the reviews? Yeah, all the time. You want to know it's got the 5-star review. My wife is funny. She's like 90% satisfied. Why? What's the other 10%, and what are they saying? She wants to know, right? And she actually goes and looks, and she finds out. Now, she doesn't always believe it, but she does look at it, right? And that's in certain areas, right? With certain products. And she's a good judge of character. She's like, she'll look up a product, it'll be like 4 stars. Okay, why? What are the 1 stars saying about it? What do people not like about it? What do people like about it? And then she won't always believe the bad reviews. She just, you know, because she's able to evaluate the person she's reading and make a decision, right, based on her own judgment. But it definitely influences purchases and influences who you use. So you definitely have to have them. And you definitely want to have a lot of good ones. And you want to be in the 4 or 5 area. Preferably, you know, everybody's going to have some negative reviews. I wouldn't worry about it. The other thing about reviews is you want to make sure to respond to all negative reviews. Positive ones too. You should say thank you or something, right? Thank you, really appreciate, we really like servicing you guys. But if somebody says something negative, you should say, wow, okay, understood you had that experience. I'm going to contact you offline and I'm going to privately so we can sort this out. And then even if they don't come back and say something to handle it afterwards, you should say what you did to handle it so that there's no mystery sitting there. So you have to respond to reviews. You can't just leave them hanging out there unhandled. Bad idea. Yelp. Yelp is in my opinion, Yelp was originally designed to handle restaurants, right? Originally, it was all about restaurants. I use it for restaurants. I don't really care about Yelp as far as anything else goes. It's just I don't care, you know, personally as a consumer. Now, I'm not saying that's the truth for everyone, but I will say that, you know, Yelp is a painful experience for many other businesses. And, yeah, and there are a lot of people that go through a lot of trouble in dealing with Yelp. And so my solution is have so many positive reviews everywhere that it doesn't matter, right? Did I cover all your questions? Okay, good. All right, perfect. All right, good. We're almost done. We only need 2 more questions. We're all squared away for the question section. Who else has got one? Yeah, I saw. You moved your hand. Were you just going for your food? Okay. Yes.
Some businesses are not doing a website, they're using just Facebook instead of that. You want to address that?
Well, first, I'll say this, right? I'll say, I don't recommend that. I recommend having a website, right? But second, I'll say, hey, if it works for you, if your business is booming without a website, all right, cool. You know, the best marketing program in the world is the one that works, right? The one that actually gets a result. That's the best marketing program in the world. Now, a website builds credibility, right? It's sort of like you have a website, you have credibility. And unfortunately, that's the way it is. It's even going that direction with social media. Oh, you have social media. That gives you more credibility. Oh, you posted something yesterday. You have more credibility, right? You haven't posted in over a month. Why did they even bother putting up a Facebook page, right? It lowers your credibility, it lowers your goodwill. So, you know, there's something to be said for it. I would say, but if you're low budget and, you know, you can make it work without God bless, you know. Good. One more question. Last one. I know we can do it. So we only need one more. I filled my quota. I can go on.
Should you link your Facebook on your website?
Huh? Should I link it?
Link your Facebook on your website.
I would definitely link my website on my face, you know, the other way around, right? Both directions, by the way. So yeah, you should definitely list what social media platforms you have. Yeah, the nice thing, you probably want to have a few for people to choose from. You know, like rather than just making them go to your website for your content, I'd have a YouTube channel. Pretty much say that to everybody. I'd have a YouTube channel, period. I would definitely be on Facebook, for sure. Most people should be on Instagram. And there are a lot more people than you think that should also have a LinkedIn presence. So those would be my right out of the gate. You know, if you're in the craft industry, let's add Pinterest to that list, right? If you're in the craft industry. So, you know, for sure, you know, or maybe even home decorating. There's Pinterest is actually quite a thing for artistic, you know, endeavors and how to. So there's a time and a place for just about every social media platform that you can think of. But I think it really starts with where I started. You've got to do emails regularly to your customers and to your people that have reached out to you. You've got to have a website for sure that converts people. You've got to have a good content strategy and put content there, and then you need to drive people there with ads. And that's about as simple as it gets. Okay? So good, yeah, so fill out my survey, because I really want your feedback. I really would like that. And I'll send you this information in written form so you can pass it on to your people. And I'll look forward to talking to you again, okay?